We're live.
Woohoo! I guess that means it's Friday night again.
It is.
And here we sit.
The passage of time carries us ever onward.
It really does. So welcome back to Book Chats with Mostly Books. I apologize, I did not mute my phone.
How dare you, ding.
Sorry about that. Muted now. So Book Chats with Mostly Books. I'm Jody.
I'm Jen.
And this time we are doing something crazy and wild, I guess.
Because we have Fridays.
And we thought, why not be different? So this week we are going to feature some of our staff picks or favorite summer reads, and just basically do a mini book chat through many different books.
With no spoilers. None anywhere.
We're really going to do really good, and then you can go read these.
Yeah.
On your own.
Jody said she wants to read these, so I have to be particularly good.
Yes. I'm holding you to it. So I guess we'll just dive in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no one's recording us, so we will answer comments later. And these books, we are holding copies. They are all in stock. If you want to get them, we recommend them.
Obviously. So give us a call or online order them at our website at mostlyBooksAZ.com, and we can hook you up with some great books.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna dive into my first book. So I chose as one of mine. It's called We Are Not From Here by Jenny Torres Sanchez. Now I will note this is not a typical Jody read. This is a contemporary fiction YA novel, which unless it's a thriller, or a rom-com,
Yeah.
I tend to not do them. And this is definitely a intense survival, very current event book. It is about 3 teens who are coming up from Guatemala, and they are walking all the way up through Mexico and coming into the United States. My sales rep really recommended it and pushed, and I'm so happy she did, and told me to read this because it was really, really good. I think I read this book in one sitting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's so intense, this journey these guys go on, specifically when they are getting on and off again the train, because they're walking all the way up, but there's this very, very dangerous train that they take for a portion of the story where they run and jump and then climb on the top of this freight train basically and hold on and travel the miles that way. Oh my gracious, that whole time I think I read with my heart beating in my chest and my stomach doing somersaults. It was you just felt the intensity that they were feeling. I honestly cannot even imagine doing this journey. And yeah. I thought Jenny really captured that really well.
I was going to say, it sounds like it captured that emotion and conveyed it really well.
Yes. Yes. I will say, it's very current events. It was a hard read in some ways. It was very sad in some spots. But I really recommend anybody who would like to read a story about this from an our own voice kind of author.
Own voices.
Thank you. Own
yep.
voices. This would be a good choice. Now, I will note that Jenny her parents were immigrants. She's first year here, but still, I felt like that was a really good story for her to tell. So again, I was really glad they told me to read it.
I like those books. It's where it's well, this isn't something I would normally pick up, but then someone's no, you should read this.
Yeah.
And then it turns out to be really good.
Yeah, I think I gave it 5 stars.
Oh.
You felt everything. She captured that so well. Mm-hmm. And the heart, it was an intense read. I will say that. You will have a lot of emotions as you continue on the journey with them. And their backstories were, they obviously left Guatemala because they had to. It wasn't they were let's go take a scenic vacation. No, these teens had to leave for a reason and had to leave their entire families. And then just to do that, I can't even imagine doing this at 15, 17. Not at all. So it was really good.
Yeah.
If you need something out of your normal comfort zone, this would be a good one.
TLDR.
Right.
This is really good. I feel like that's going to be it for all of these.
Yeah. Right? Okay, on a lighter note, Jen.
On a much lighter note, but still lots of emotions, I have Beach Read by Emily Henry. I actually listened to this as an audiobook on Libro FM, even though there's a physical book here. So it's the romance writer January Andrews is having trouble writing. And her dad has recently died, and she's gotten his beach house. So she's like, okay, cool, I can live somewhere for free for the summer and write a book. So
sounds idealistic.
So she's like, I'm gonna go do that. And that's where she meets her neighbor, Augustus Everett, who is a literary fiction writer, he also writes slowly. He's having his own issues. And they end up striking this deal of like, okay, we'll switch genres for a summer. January, you will write the next great American novel. Augustus Everett, you will write a happy ending rom-com. And then whoever sells their book first gets bragging rights over the other and has to promote the other's book.
I love that this is a competition. Let's see who can do this the best.
And obviously it goes that naturally they both think the other writes total garbage. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it starts there. And it is a romance. It was actually very cute. And
Your third.
it's my third. 3.25 if we count novellas.
Oh, yeah, totally. I think that counts. 3.25.
But it was really cute. I really liked it because they're both writers, so that was interesting to see how they talk about stories. So it kind of meditates on stories and what those mean to people.
It's been a common running theme for what we've been reading lately.
I have another one in here that does that too.
I love it.
I will say the title is beach read, but there is this book is 0.02% anything to do with beach reading. So
Pre-warned if you want a book that's about reading on a beach.
yeah, I think this cover scene only happens at the very end for a very short amount of pages. It's much more about writer's block than it is about beach reading. But it was really good. It was very emotional too, in that it got dark for a romance novel. So not super super dark, and we both have books darker than that in our stacks, but it definitely there's more of a depth of emotion than I was expecting.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
And on brand for you. Jen reads a little of the darker side.
Yeah.
And not that I can say much, but I do too.
But I liked it. It felt like you can care about the romance, that you can care for the characters, and there's also some other things going on. So we're not just constantly focused on will they or won't they.
I definitely prefer my romance novels to have a little more depth than just the will they won't they. So that's good to hear. I'm excited to know that there's an actual plot.
Yeah, well, they're writing their books.
And I kind of am excited about the writing aspect. I think that will be really fun.
The side characters are also wonderful.
Oh, see, that's good too.
I will say especially his aunt and her wife.
Nice.
I love them. Pete owns a cafe and a bookstore in this little sleepy beach town.
Aww.
And they have dogs. It's just perfect.
That is pretty perfect.
So, really cute. It was a lot of fun.
How was the audio narrator?
It was fine.
You know, I always ask that question.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I wasn't oh my god, this reading changed my life, but also oh my god, I could never listen to this, so it was fine.
That was good. Yeah. I liked that this was very apropos, considering you were also on a vacation.
I was nowhere near a beach, though.
But nowhere near a beach, just secluded in the woods.
Yeah.
Which is probably good you didn't read any, weird psychological thrillers, in the dark, dark woods or any of that. That would have given you a whole new feeling out there.
Yeah,
this is a better choice.
This was
much better choice.
This is a better choice, and it reads very quickly. The first 20% of it, I was okay, are we going to get going? But then when they strike their deal and whatever, it picks up.
I love the deal aspect.
I do too.
I'm totally into that.
It was really fun to read the bet. Yeah.
All right, next. Okay. So my next one is A Good Marriage by Kimberly McCreight. Okay, I should note that I started reading her when she did Reconstructing Amelia back in, I want to say 2013-ish. That book totally hooked me right away, and after that I've read everything she's written. I'm never disappointed.
That's impressive, though.
Yeah, right. So the funny thing to note too is that Reconstructing Amelia was probably one of the first books that at least that I started to notice where they started trending with the putting text messages into books, which at that time I was this is so clever. And we all know I really like books like that, and I still do. Okay, so this is her latest one that just came out, I want to say, in May. And this is about 4 couples. And the lies that you basically see. Or the lies that they tell, I should say. And how slippery that slope can get. So Lizzie they live in Brooklyn. They're all upper class in Brooklyn. And she is a prosecutor. She gets a call from Rikers Prison, which is that really, really,
It's
scary.
the one that always shows up in crime dramas.
Exactly. It did. And her, like, college friend, Zach, is needing help, and there's this whole backstory with that. So anyway, at first she's like, no, you need to get a defense lawyer. I don't do that. And he keeps pushing, like, you're the only one that can help me. So she does the case, right? And then there's, like, all this drama between Zach and his wife, Lizzie and her husband, and then their 2 neighbor couples. It's very much like the things you post on social media is not what it really is.
Oh, no, of course not.
Right? Like, they are not living these idealistic, perfect lives, we're finding out. Now, I mean, some of the lies are harmless, mostly. But some are not, because somebody ends up dead.
You know.
Right? In the neighborhood, one of the wives. But I'm not going to say who. And so then she's trying to figure that out and how this all connects to Zach's case, and then her own backstory, because she has a very not shady.
She has skeletons in her closet.
She has a lot of skeletons in her closet. Yeah.
It's dangerous if you're a prosecutor. Or maybe that's how you accumulate them. I don't know.
You know, that comes up a bit. She's definitely a little bit of an unreliable narrator. Not completely, but there's definitely like something that you're like, about, which I enjoy. I liked the writing. I think it's mostly told from her perspective, but I feel like we also switch back and forth with one other character, and that's terrible that I can't remember, but I read this before it came out.
A bit has happened since
May. A bit's happened. Oh, right. And there's the whole school drama. So there's also mixed media in this, which I love, because I forgot about their school. With the kids, they're all going to this, like, prep kindergarten school.
Oh, my gosh.
And a leak has happened. And so you're getting the snippets of that, as well as you're getting snippets about the grand jury for the person who was found dead. And so you get that, as well as Lizzie's perspective. And I think there's also maybe a timeline thing. There's a lot in this.
I was going to say, there sounds like there's a lot of layers to this story.
There's a lot of layers, yes. So you're getting her current timeline, and then you're getting Amanda. So there's a couple different perspectives, yes. Anyway, definitely recommend if you like your domestic psychological thrillers. Kimberly does the best, like, circular plots where you're like, everything gets somehow connected even though you have no idea how, and sometimes you're like, this isn't going to come back up. No, it does. In the most bizarre way. And I will also note that because it's her and she does such circular plots, I suspect everyone instantly.
That's how I read
But
every
she
book.
got me in this one. Oh my gosh. I was like, what? It's who?
Was it a, like, out of left field, it's you? Or like, oh my god, it's
No,
you?
it was, oh my god, it's you. And man, does that just open up a whole conversation of you just never know.
See, I'm already very suspicious when I read books and don't trust characters anyway. So this seems I'm just going to be like...
Oh, don't trust anyone, because they're all lying to some extent. Yeah, I would be actually curious to see if you caught... I mean, there were definitely clues. Like, I got to who it was and was like, I just didn't even think about that. Now, I will admit, I tend to read these going in, like, for the ride.
Yeah.
So I really like to not know. So I try to not so much always figure it out. So it'd be interesting if you ever decide to read it. Let me know if you caught on right away. Because I didn't. I got conned. So, yeah, totally recommend. It's fun.
It sounds like a ride.
It was a ride. And you should definitely read all of her other ones, because they're just as great.
Are they all the same genre?
Yes, they are all psychological. Well, at least all... I guess I've only... has she only written 3? I've read 3.
If she's written more than 3, Jody's about to get a very
right?
good surprise.
I was gonna... Oh, no, just the 3. Dang it. They are all psychological thrillers, yes. you're always unrelatable narrators often. Unreliable. Who can relate to them, maybe, if you lie in your marriage and in general. So maybe not. Yes, all the same genre.
Okay.
What else do you have?
Next, I have another fantasy novel. We were going to get there. It's Unravel the Dusk by Elizabeth Lim. It's the second book and final book in the duology, The Blood of the Stars.
It's only a duology.
It's only a duology.
That's good to know before I read that one.
And the first is Spin the Dawn, which might be up above your... Yeah, it's up above your head. It's just not face out. Yeah. And that one was the Project Runway meets Mulan, and Maya goes to the royal palace to become the imperial tailor. Problem, there's 11 other people competing for the same spot, and then she has to go on a quest.
And oh wait, there's a quest.
Oh wait, yeah, there's a quest, by the way. There's also some demons and ghosts, by the way. So that book ends, and then this one picks up with, like, I really liked it in the sense that she has to become the hero, and, like, we see her, like, you see, like, how many sacrifices you have to ask of your hero, and, like, what they're going to do, and, like, are they going to still choose to be the hero? So it was much, like, more heavier and more serious in that aspect. And, like, the first book is, like, very whimsical, and there's even, like, humor in it. Mm-hmm. And then this one, it's much more like, we got to get this done now.
See, this is all good to know, because I read the first one.
You did read the first one, because I told you to read
I'm really happy you told me it's a duology, because that would make me really sad when I got to the end and be like, this is it! I can tell already that's going to happen.
Or, like, when I read the first one, like, on the bottom of, like, the dust jacket flap, it was like, this is book 1 of The Blood of the Stars, and I'm like, wait, there's another, I need another one, I have to wait a year.
And that one, oh my gosh, the end was
the end.
Yeah, so I'm sure this one just picks up. I think
there's a little bit of a time gap, but not in a way that you've missed significant stuff that ended at the end of the last one.
How is the pacing in this one? Is it, like, on par with Spin the Dawn? Was pretty fastly paced. Spin the Dawn,
yeah, a lot happens. This one, a lot happens, but it doesn't feel as separate, so it doesn't feel like a competition, then quest, and then thing. Okay. This all feels more like one quest.
She's got to wrap this up.
She has to deal with this thing that was a threat in the first book. Yeah, I can't wait for you to read this one, because I got you to read the first one.
It was so good. Yeah. So, and I've been very excited to read this one. Someone didn't share her advance copy, but that's fine. I had to wait the year. Yeah, I'm excited for that one for sure.
It's one where it's like, people have asked me, like, what did you think of it? What did you think? And I'm like, it's different. But, like, it's different in a good way. You get, like, 2 very different books within one series, but they still fit together and they're in the same world. So it's like, I guess they have the range. They have the range.
And do you think that's why she did it as a duology then?
I think so.
It's kind of like Victoria Schwab's. I feel like her, Our Dark Duet. I kind of felt like those were very...
Monsters of Verity.
Yeah, thank you, duology. I thought they were very complementary to each other, but very different as well. Yeah. Interesting. I've never thought about duologies like that.
Yeah, I don't think this would have been necessarily worked as a trilogy unless we had a lot more plot going on, because it would have been too bloated otherwise. There'd just been too much that didn't need to be there.
Do our favorite characters from book 1 appear in book 2?
They do appear in book 2.
Okay, good, thank you.
And we get to know some that we meet but, like, don't really know much about. We get to know them better.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I should move that up on my stack. That's what I'm hearing.
You should read it and
sooner.
Then tell me about it.
Right? Could you do this one and just tell me if you know the murderer? Because I just need to know.
But yeah, this one's very good. I know I've told a lot of people to read the first one, and those people, you should also read this one. You'll not be disappointed.
Jen's called you all out. You know who you are.
I've just added people on camera.
Right. Awesome. Is it, remind me, is it just one perspective? It's just hers, right?
I think we get Eden's too in this one.
We didn't get his last time, did we?
I don't think we did. I think we get a little bit of him.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if I made that up or not, because it's very focused on Maya, so I was very focused on Maya.
I won't hold that to you then, if it's not true.
I don't think, now I don't think it is.
I know we read these a while ago.
Yeah, and there's a thing that happens at the end. There's a thing that happens at the end.
There's a thing at the end, right?
There's a thing at the end where I'm just like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's so funny.
I'm gonna say maybe.
Okay, I'm good with maybe. I can be surprised.
Yes. Also, I love the cover, and I love the cover of the first one.
I love the cover of the first one.
Because the first one.
Borrow this one for just a moment.
Because the first one is like very blue, and it's like all the 3 dresses, and then this one is red. And they look so pretty.
I see they're going to look so nice on your bookshelf.
They do. They do. But, yeah, that's my second one.
Cool. All right, we're just moving right along. So my third one is The Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Bardugo. I don't know why I said that. I've never said it that way.
I don't know.
That was weird. Sorry about that. This is her first adult fantasy novel. She typically had been writing YA fantasies, such as Six of Crows and
Shadow and Bone.
Yep, Shadow and Bone and the Grisha universe. This is not that universe. This is her attempt. Well, not an attempt. She did fabulous. I'm not going to say that. I loved this book, obviously. This is her first foray into urban fantasy. So it takes place at Yale, and it's about this Alexis? Her real name's Galaxy, but she goes by Alex. I'm like, that's not. She doesn't go by Galaxy, yeah. So Alex is from LA, and she had a rough go. Got into drugs, and may have been at a double homicide. Survived.
Oh, obviously not as a victim.
Right. Yeah. She was there. Yeah. Anyway, so at the hospital, somebody comes to recruit her for Yale, and she's like, well, there's nothing here. Why not? This is sort of weird, but sure. So she goes to Yale and becomes involved in these secret societies.
Yeah, Yale has secret societies.
Of course they do.
It's an Ivy League.
Right. There's 8 houses, and she's supposed to go and kind of monitor what these 8 secret societies are doing and keep them in check, basically. And she's like, okay, this is all sort of weird. And then a lot of other things happen. I'm going to try not to say too much because I don't want to spoil too much.
I do really want to read this book.
So because it's on the cover, I can mention that she sees ghosts.
I knew that.
Okay. It's in the cover. I can say that. So that makes life interesting, but that could also be partly why she's been recruited into this whole weird secret society world. I'm not going to say more.
Can you say why there's a snake on the cover, or is that too spoilery?
I don't want to say why there's a snake on the cover. You will just need to read it, and then we will discuss that because we have theories.
Oh my gosh. So it's a series?
Yes, there's at least one more book. I don't know if there'll be more than one.
Gosh. Okay.
And the end was an oh my gosh moment, and I'm really upset that we have to wait.
The end of Six of Crows is a very oh my gosh moment.
It's that. It's kind of like that. So I know a lot of people, and they are correct, have mentioned that this is a very violent book. There's a lot of trigger warnings, and you have to remember this is more contemporary, so it is more realistic violent than her Six of Crows. I personally don't know that it is any more violent necessarily than Six of Crows, but the fact that it's realistic violence makes it, I think, hit harder. So this is not going to be for everyone.
Yeah.
I obviously liked it. People also said it was really slow in the beginning, and I don't find that true at all. So I thought she did fabulous. I can't wait for the next books. But this is totally my brand. I totally am into secret societies that are specifically either like a boarding school or a college. Like, this is everything I love.
Like boarding schools, witches, royal court drama.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yep,
we just need a book that, like, all of these, and it's Jody's book.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. So writing, is totally Lee's normal style. Like, I don't know. I thought it was fabulous. I can't wait for you to read it. Because I am really curious what you think about it, because it is urban fantasy, so it's not the Grishaverse.
Yeah.
So I'm just, and do you read a lot of urban fantasy? I guess I should ask that.
Kind of. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is so contemporary that in some ways you're like, it's just like normal life. But it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, except for like some of the violence is very realistic. So again, it's not for everyone in that sense. If you are sensitive to those things, maybe don't read this one.
Mm-hmm. So like gore,
abuse, assault. It kind of runs the whole gamut of bad things.
Is it gamut or gambit?
I've said gamut, but I also do not say things correctly, so it could totally be exactly what you're saying. Sorry about that.
That's okay. No, I'm not sure.
So it's a variety of all,
Okay.
and drug abuse and overdosing. I mean, it's got a lot of
So there's a lot of
heavy.
like trigger warnings and content warnings that are
Yes, absolutely. And it's a heavy topic. It's dark, but
and it is adult fantasy. I've seen some of that where people will be like, "This new YA book." It's like,
it's definitely
no,
not
no,
YA.
no.
No. And I do really like Alex. She's such a reluctant hero. I can't wait to see where she, like, because she's so, I don't want to be involved. I don't want to do this. Why am I doing this? Why am I here? So I'm excited for book two to see her actually like, oh, this is it. This is, I'm going to not redeem, but I'm going to find myself.
I'm going to claim this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love her cohort, Darlington. He's just a trip. And he's just great.
I feel like I'm going to meet him and have the same opinion.
Oh, I think you will. I mean, he can be a bit of a punk, but mostly we like Darlington. Do you like that I'm a royal we today?
Yeah.
It's just how it is. So, yeah, move this on your pile because I want to chat.
It is on my pile. It's on my shelf. It stares at me and shames me that I have not read it yet.
Well, it should. I actually think there's a map as well.
There's a map?
Maybe there's not. I was thinking that there might have been no map. I thought she might have the map
Of Yale?
of the 8 secret society tombs.
One of my very good friends went to Yale, so I was like, it's Yale, it's secret societies. I have to read this.
Right? Skull and Bones. Yep. All right, what else you got?
Next, I have Queen. Is it the Queen or Queen? Queen of the Conquered. See, anyway.
Titles,
those articles. This Queen of the Conquered by Case and Callender, and it is like a fantasy set in like fantasy Caribbean. Basically, the islands have different names, and now I'm seeing them on the book. I also listened to this in the audiobook, so I didn't know how to spell anything. So Sigourney her mother was a slave, and then her father like freed her and then married her, so she is half islander and half white, and she has risen to power and like inherited her island. And so then the ruling families of these islands get called to the main island for this succession game to see who's going to become the regent that rules over the region. So she does that, but then the nobles start dying.
Oops.
Yes.
Mysteriously dying? Or
Just
like natural cause dying?
some of them look like natural causes until they start to not look like natural causes. And there's also rumors that the island is haunted. And Sigourney can also read minds.
Ooh.
It's her craft. It's
Okay.
like the magic that works in this world. So like some different people have craft of one kind or another.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the other nobles, or not one of the other nobles, the other nobles have craft, but one of the other characters that we meet, Lauren, he has craft, and he can like tamp down on people's craft. And he actually ends up as Sigourney's slave.
Oh.
So it gets very interesting that like exploring Sigourney's identity of she like rose to power on her island, and she's like, I'm gonna free my people, and then she doesn't. So it's like she's still benefiting from the system of slavery, and she's dealing with that. Sometimes good, sometimes not. It's very interesting to see like what even fantasy imperialism that is very, very much based on like real world imperialism and colonization, that like what it does to her.
I like that you noted that sometimes she makes good decisions and sometimes she doesn't. It makes them very human, and I like when the author is able to really show that. Like, see how hard some of this is? Like,
yeah, it's like, is she the most likable character? No, but you don't hate her either. Like, if you...
And you see where she's come from,
I feel
so
like
you kind of get it.
I feel like you miss the point if you're be like, oh, she's just being a terrible person. It's like, no, that's you're missing the point of this whole system that this is set in. But I really liked it. I like the mystery of it, of like who's killing the nobles, because they try to pin it on her, because all the rest of the region noble families are white, and they're trying to pin it on her.
Right.
So she's figuring that out, but then there's other stuff going on too, which you find. The end is quite a twist.
And there's another one, right?
There
is
is.
it just 2, or is it...
I think so far it's only 2. The second one's called King of the Rising, which makes sense when you get to the end of the first one.
This is just me too. Sorry not to trivialize it because it sounds amazing and I do really want to read it, but I also love the cover.
I just realized we both picked book snake covers.
And we did them at the same time. Cool us.
But yeah, so it was very good. It's also like kind of a hard read in that the first scene starts out with Sigourney putting down a slave rebellion on a plantation, and that is very violent.
We also picked very violent books at the same time.
Yeah, so it's like, it's, in a way, it's hard to read because it deals like very clearly with racism and like chattel slavery. So it was really good.
Yep.
And like if you kind of like psychological thrillers, maybe where they get a little unreliable, there's some of that in there too. And there's also like kind of court drama, but like island court drama.
I like that.
It felt a little cool. Game of Thronesy at points. So it was very good. There was a lot I liked about it. I just want to like warn you that like it's not a light, easy read.
That seems to be the theme of the two books we chose. Definitely both of them are well worth reading. For totally different reasons.
Yeah.
But again, maybe not for everyone.
Yeah.
So take note.
Yeah.
You've been warned.
It's definitely one of those books where like I want to know what you like to read or watch before I'd be like, do this one. Because I feel like it could go either way, that some people could like absolutely hate this book and like hate Sigourney. But I'm like, that's not the point.
Yeah, no, I get that. I don't know. I felt like it sounded amazing. I think this would obviously be something I would.
Yeah, I think you
but
would.
You're not really selling to me because we read very similar.
Especially now.
Right. Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah. I had another thought on that one, but I've already since lost it. Oh, I think the only other thing, can I go back to mine? Sorry. And note that I don't think this is going to be for every Shadow and Bone fan, which is sort of sad. I mean, just because it's so realistic that I think people are going to find that really jarring when they start it. So I'm just going to note that. It's really, really good urban fantasy, but you have to remember it's urban fantasy and not just fantasy.
Not like
a high fantasy.
There's not a secondary world in it.
Right. Sorry. I don't know why I'm harping on that, because I feel like she got really kind of griped about it, I think.
I saw a lot of where people were like
petting it. I'm like, sorry, I'm being weird.
No, I saw a lot on like the internet where people are like, this wasn't as good, and it's like, I don't think that's a taste thing. It's just
and
very
you can't
different.
compare them because they're not the same book. Exactly. Okay, I'm done. Sorry, I'll get off the stool and stop talking about that.
Well, I was pretty much done with mine too. Oh, I did listen to the audiobook.
And how was the narrator?
It was good because the narrator has the accent, even though this isn't a secondary world. So that like really added to the reading, and it got a good sense of place, whereas it felt like you were on the islands and it was very like warm and humid.
Oh, that's good.
And the water.
I love atmospheric and setting.
Yeah,
like I love it when the setting is almost its own character. Those are such great books.
It kind of is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like when an author can do that, they're pretty amazing authors.
There's some there's a lot about storms and the storm season. So there's.
Do they get monsoons like we get one? Because they're on an island.
I don't know.
What, you didn't research the storm systems?
I didn't research the storm systems in this secondary world.
This fantastical, book.
No, but it was really good. I did like it.
It is called The Island of Blood and Storm, so that makes sense that it was heavy storms. I'm sure that means many things, though, as well. Double meanings.
Maybe. I will neither confirm nor deny.
Right. Well done. Because you listened to it, I'm just curious if you're also going to want a physical copy, because I know you've talked about seeing the words and all that, and maybe you don't need a physical copy, but I'm always just kind of like curious if you ever feel like you need a physical, or need and or want. How is that?
Sometimes I do, because this, like, seeing how it, like, things are spelled was not how I would have guessed.
Right.
So I think, and there's parts where, like, she starts having very creepy nightmares at one point, and I wanted to, like, go back and kind of, like, piece them together, but it was an audiobook, and I didn't
that's interesting.
know how I could do that easily.
Right.
So I might, especially when the second one comes out, I might want to, like, recheck on things in the first one.
And I bet the covers are going to look great together. Chip's just
Oh,
going
they
to
do.
add that note.
The cover is lovely. It has another snake on it.
I've seen the second cover. It did look really, they're going to look really nice together.
So this one is, it's like, for beach read, like, I knew how to spell everything. I don't know why this is, like, the sticking point for me, but then I was like, okay, I don't necessarily need a physical copy.
Right.
But it's like, if you're listening to an audiobook, you know, and it's a fantasy novel, you know how to pronounce everything, but you don't know how to spell anything.
I know, it's a double edge there.
Especially when I'm trying to write you a review, I'm like, I can't spell anything. But if you have a physical book, when we do these, we don't know how to pronounce anything.
I know, we have to look at all the pronunciations on all the characters' names and then be like, I hope that's what it is.
It's just a struggle either way.
It really is.
Yeah, good book. Not really a light read, but it was very good.
Okay. Next.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm not switching my book yet.
All right. So, I'm going to do something totally different and do the first book in the Umbrella Academy. And I should note the new season starts tonight on Netflix. I may have planned this.
I saw the banner on Netflix today, and I was like, oh, I bet Jody's noticed.
So excited. I knew a while ago. So I started the show on Netflix, and I so loved it. Like, I don't normally go into superhero books kind of, superhero shows
you're not like
this.
a superhero person.
These characters are so amazing. So needless to say, as soon as I found out it was a graphic novel, I had to go and get the books. So I have the first 3. I've read the first 2 already, which I've read them pretty much back to back. They were that good too. So the story of Umbrella Academy, for those of you who don't watch the show or read the books, is about these mysterious births that all happened on one day. I can't remember exactly how many. I want to say there were like 40-ish births. They like just all of a sudden happened. Women who were not pregnant were suddenly pregnant, giving birth. And this guy went around and adopted as many of them as he could. And he ended up with, I think, 7 of the kids. Yes.
That's a lot unaccounted for.
And he starts an academy for them and trains them because he finds out, because of these mysterious births, that they also have all these gifts. Except one, who's just there, supposedly.
That's gonna come back.
Right? So he adopts all these kids and brings them in his house. He's not a very good father in any way, and he kind of just, he really focuses on their training and not so much their like upbringing socially and otherwise, I guess. So they're kind of just put into this weird family, and they all know obviously that they're adopted. He names them basically by numbers, like 1, 2. I mean, yeah, it's kind of very...
Does he make our list of bad dads?
To an extent. Like, I think he genuinely cared for them, but he was like, I'm out to save the world. You're how I'm going to do it. And so they're soldiers to him, so not really a great dad. And so they have real names. So they all actually have their own real names as well. But he really only refers to them by their number, which is very upsetting. Anyway, the gist of why they've all grown up now, and they are now kind of all go on their separate ways and not really speaking to each other. But then he mysteriously dies. So all the kids come back to the house to figure out what happens. And then many, many things happen because of that.
I might have to watch the show now.
Oh my gosh, watch the show. Read the book. Do both. I really recommend both.
I think that says a lot that you recommend both, because there's a lot of like book over show or book over movie, but like if you enjoy both as their thing, then that's like
did
high praise.
Such a good adaptation of the first book. We'll see how the second season goes with the second book. I have thoughts, but we'll see. I'm not there yet. I've not seen the show yet. It was really good. It's dark again. It's also funny. The art's fun. This is my first... Well, okay, I've read another graphic novel back in the day of college.
I read one in college, too.
But this is way better. So, yeah, it was way outside of my normal comfort zone, but I was, like, totally into it. I think I read them in, one sitting as well.
Graphic novels are like that. You can just, like...
Yeah, I got totally consumed into it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this does such an amazing... I mean, obviously, this does a great job of filling in all the gaps of the show because, it came first. So yeah, it was great to read that and get all of the real backstories of all the kids and how their relationships work. I should also note that they have a chimpanzee, I should say, butler. In the show, that seems unusual. In the book, they're just everywhere in the world. Okay. So it's sort of an alternate world.
Oh, is this the show that put Billy Bones in a muscle suit?
I don't know who Billy Bones is.
He's in Black Sails.
Probably, because there's a dude in a muscle suit. He's
okay.
one. That's his name. Yeah, that's probably the one.
Okay.
Yeah. You should totally watch it. It also has...
Does it have pirates?
Not yet. I'm not going to say that's not going to happen because this is pretty all over. Yeah, they're all really cool characters. Like, there's so much depth in this graphic novel. Mm-hmm. Like, oh my gosh. Who knew? I'm like a total convert now. So who knew so much could be put into this? And I was a little like, how's that going to be like visually? Like, I wasn't sure about all of that.
How's this going to transform from like one medium to another?
Yeah, it was great. And I really enjoyed the whole reading experience. Huh. So, totally a convert to graphic novels now. All you have to do is find the right one to get you started.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Now if I come back in 2 days having been like, oh my god, I watched season 1 and 2.
Call me. We'll talk. Call me at the end of season 1 first. Because I'm already jealous that you get to start right away into season 2.
I don't have to wait.
Which is why I had to read the books. So I was like, I need to know.
And I'm going to piece it together from leftover bits of backstory that didn't make it into the show.
Right? And we'll see if they actually, like, and then it's like, do they hold true to the actual book? We'll see. But it doesn't matter. They were both wonderful experiences.
Okay.
All right. So that's my plug for... I didn't say who this was by. Sorry. This is by Gerard Way and Gabriel Ba. And then there's also David Stewart and Nate Picos, who I'm sure probably did some of the art and the coloring and all of that. There's a lot that goes into a graphic novel that I didn't realize. Like the fonts, the coloring, the actual drawing, the words. There's a lot of work, people. Okay. I'm done.
Wow. Okay. The last one is Ink and Bone by Rachel Kane, and you have also read this one. Mm-hmm. So we're in a futuristic London that's very steampunk and Victorian, and the Great Library controls the dissemination of knowledge. So no one is allowed to own their own book, but Jess's family is smugglers, so
he has books.
Laws are suggestions at best. So Jess's family's a smuggler, and he's a runner for the smugglers, so he like runs their illegal books wherever they need him to run. And then he takes the entrance test for the library, and he gets in, and his father's like, cool, you're gonna go spy for us. I'm gonna send
what is it with dads?
He's also a bad dad.
I'm basically bad dads.
So Jess goes to Alexandria in Egypt to study where the library is. It's like their headquarters. Mm-hmm. And that's where he meets the rest of his classmates, who are wonderful. I love them. And he meets his curmudgeonly instructor, Wolf, who is less wonderful, but that's a whole thing.
Until you get it.
Yeah, just read like more in the series, and then your opinion might change. But he's still a curmudgeon.
He's a curmudgeon.
But it's really interesting and good, and the kids are thrown into a lot. Like, they're all geniuses of one kind or another. This book, it does a lot of like discussing censorship through its fantasy world, which is really good. And it has these little sections of ephemera throughout the chapters, like at the end or beginning of each chapter. And they're just like messages from characters, some characters you have met, some you haven't met, and they just give you like all sorts of background. And they are so good. I
know, I love those. They tell you a lot of the things that you don't realize what's happening. And you're like, what?
It does a lot of like background stuff of like how power works in this universe. Because there's a whole lot of discourse on like power, and that it like absolute power can corrupt and it rots from the inside. And there's like metal automatons. There's all sorts of stuff. It's so good.
I'm sorry. Steampunk library, I was sold.
I read like the first 3 books of these in like a week.
That's impressive.
It was like the end of last year. I read the first 3 like really quickly. And now I'm currently in the 4th one.
Good.
And it is also very good. And oh my gosh,
So much happens.
so much happens.
I mean,
in these
it's not
books.
even that long of a book, and so much happens.
Yeah.
That I remember getting to the end of the book and being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we went from here, and ended up, here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Like we start in London, then we go to Alexandria,
Then we go to Wales.
Yeah, we go back. We go to Wales, and then we go back, and oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, it's all over.
It's all over the place. They have there's a technology for how they do that. Like the magic system is really cool because it's like scientific magic.
Yeah, it was really complicated too. Like, it was impressive.
It's really cool, and there's like lots of books in it. I think there's also a little bit of Latin in there, which I do enjoy when that happens. Yeah, it's really good. The characters all very lovable. If you want like found family, it's very found family. Lots of scheming, and just
I loved the side characters. Like, that was the best part of the whole thing, I think, was all their group camaraderie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, I loved all the book stuff, too. And okay, there's a lot of good things. Go read it.
It is so good. And it's a series. It's 5 books long. I'm in the 4th one. It doesn't ever feel like it could have been edited down. It feels like it's all kind of just played out like how you would expect it to play out. Not that these books are predictable, because they're not.
No.
Like, you can call some things, but you're not going to call the whole thing.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's just, it feels like the plot is unfolding in a way that is satisfying, I guess. So
it's really intricate. I always call this like your
you always say it's really smart.
It's your smart way. Yeah, I do
really
say
smart.
it that way. Because it's just so complicated and everything's so intricate, and it's just very deep. I guess maybe deep's not the right word, but it's just very in depth with everything, character development, world building.
It's really good,
and it's so good.
yeah.
I'd recommend that one too, obviously.
Yeah, it's so good. I think we did. Did you pick it from when we still did in-person book clubs?
I did.
Yeah,
Because I wanted to make everyone read it. I do that.
And then I just went and read.
And then you devoured the series. You're way ahead of me.
Yeah, I'm ahead of you now. You need to like.
I've only read the first 2.
Oh my gosh!
I know, I'm way back.
You need to read the 3rd one, because that's when like everything kind of like hits the fan.
Yeah, because it was already getting like whoa in book 2, especially when you're like, there's some things, some discoveries of things.
There's some things we learn about certain people
that are going to be important.
Yeah,
and we're really eye-opening at the same time.
There's a lot that goes on.
Yep.
But they're very good. And they're like, they get pretty dark.
They are pretty dark.
There's a lot of violence, and like it's kind of like every single character is in mortal peril. There's also good diversity in the cast, which I really like.
I agree.
And it kind of just keeps going on as you get to know them more throughout the series. So I just found in the 4th book, I just found out a character is aromantic.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
Is it a character we've already met?
Yes. You already know who this character is. I'm just not going to tell you who it is.
Dang it. I want to know who. We need to chat later.
But I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Yeah. So it's very good. But like, all of our characters are in mortal peril, and yes, it stresses me out.
Right? Okay,
Yeah.
I totally... It seems to be... We just read books like that, I think. Yep.
But yeah, the discussion of censorship and power is also very good. So there's there's a lot going on for like what this fantasy world is doing.
Yep. Agreed.
All right.
Any last thoughts?
I kind of want to read your stack now.
I know. Can we just switch piles? I agree. Do we want to tell them what we're reading for next week?
Yeah.
We're going back to old school style.
I'm very conveniently placed near them.
I was like, we didn't grab it, but it's fine.
We're reading The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. So it's one of the first books in the Inheritance trilogy. Is this her debut trilogy? Her debut book? I feel like
it is, but don't quote us on that yet. We will know for next week.
We've definitely discussed this. I just don't remember what we came to.
I don't remember either. We'll find out. We'll re-look at it because I can't remember.
But this is another one of like, another one of us trying to pronounce character names. But also where kind of an outsider comes to the capital and there's a battle for succession.
And gods.
And
why do we keep reading these books about what are these gods doing?
Yeah, Yeah, it's like, what are these gods doing? And also it's kind of like, I don't know, I think it's really interesting when you have characters that are gods and they get fleshed out to some sort of degree and they aren't just a figure on the wall or something.
Right. Oh, and they become such complicated things on their own. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have the City We Became to read too.
Oh, me too. I've heard such good things on that one. Her newest one that just came out this year.
The new one. Which I'm holding up because it's pretty, not because we're reading it next week.
But I'm excited to read the 100,000 Kingdoms. Court drama gods. I think it's totally on par for our brand.
Especially your brand.
I say evidently. Totally
you like
on
your court drama.
I do. I'm just gonna make us keep staying here. All right.
Yeah.
So tune in next week and see what we think on that one. Otherwise, I think that was it. We hope you enjoyed our blind date with books, I guess.
Speed dating?
Speed dating. Yeah, not blind dating.
You can see them.
You can see them. That was, thank you. Thank goodness Jen's here.
Maybe we'll have another 5-month Friday.
Probably.
And we'll have read some other things by then.
Maybe that's it. All right. So we will see you all next week. Bye.